Venimos a la vida procurando ser lo más felices que podamos, porque la vida se nos va.
¡Luna!
Buenos días, Egunon, bon dia a tots i totes. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas, Oñe Torri. Una sesión de media en este mundo online que os ofrecemos sobre formación. Media, en este nuevo septenio que empezamos el año pasado con cierto retraso, ha renovado su parking de iniciativas de formación, buscando como objetivo principal objetivos que van alineados con la política audiovisual europea, los habituales, el gender balance, el cross-sectorial, el puente de talento, pero fundamentalmente sostenibilidad. Entre esas nuevas iniciativas de formación que han salido seleccionadas para el periodo 21-22, pues tenemos la que nos ocupa hoy. Y todo tiene una historia. Eres una vez, Victoria, nuestra compañera en Media Desk Andalucía, Ainhoa, nuestra compañera en Media Desk País Vasco y yo mismo, estábamos en Cannes y tuvimos la solicitud de una entrevista con los responsables del programa International Screen Institute para explicar los 3 cursos que hoy vamos a ver. 2 de ellos ya han finalizado, pero seguirán el año que viene y, si todo va bien, seguirán en la quiniela de apuestas media a la formación. Y uno sigue abierto, que es el de sostenibilidad. Así es como nos conocimos y planeamos esta sesión formativa que esperemos sea de utilidad para todos vosotros y vosotras. Un poco de housekeeping. Para hacer las preguntas que consideréis oportunas, podéis hacerlas en el canal YouTube. Yo las veo aquí y las envío a Julia, que es nuestra invitada de hoy. No debía presentarla, pero se me ha escapado. Tenía que hacer como Building the Act, pero ahora la vais a conocer brevemente. El objetivo es ese, es que os interese, que conozcáis esas 3 nuevas iniciativas, de las cuales vamos a tener como un diálogo fluido con nuestra invitada, la coordinadora de estudios. Y para ello me gustaría presentárosla. Julia Short, que ahora en breve va a aparecer en vuestras pantallas, tiene 25 años a sus espaldas de experiencia en el mundo audiovisual. Durante 7 años estuvo como responsable en la parte de marketing y distribución en el Media Business School. Ha tenido compañía de distribución propia, Verve Pictures, y también ha tenido relación con cineastas como Andrea Arnold o como Danny Boyle. Y nos parecía oportuno que fuera ella misma que os explicase los cursos. Y ahora sí, for all of you, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to our guest this morning, Julia Short. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, how are you?
Very good. The sun is shining in London and it's actually quite warm. So I almost feel like I'm with you in Spain.
Great.
Almost.
Green Deal as well takes the climate change for sure. Everything it's changing. Online as well is online. So tell us a little bit of kind of I was saying about once upon a time, but before explaining with detail the 3 training opportunities that professionals can find in your initiative, congratulations for being selected because it's not easy with immediate support. Tell us a little bit, how is the genesis? How was the starting point?
How was my baby created? For 9 years, I used to run a training program called Inside Pictures, which was for experienced people across the industry. And that was funded through Creative Europe, very generously supported by the Media Fund. And I wanted to, and then obviously the great UK public decided to vote for Brexit, so that I knew that that program was no longer possible to be supported by Creative Europe. So I found a home in Austria and working with a couple of companies who wanted to fund my vision. I don't know how many of you know about or remember the Media Business School that was in Ronda. I used to speak on the Mega course and I ran a marketing and distribution course at the Media Business School. And my vision was to create another media business school type of organization. So that was the International Screen Institute. And how we came about deciding what programs to design and put on offer was we did extensive research with people working all across Europe and saying, what do you think people need? What do you think is important if you're either starting off your career or if you're established in your career? So what came out of that market research was the need for more legal and business skills training, audience design and understanding your audience and kind of how to get it to an audience and who your audience is. And then obviously a kind of key requirement for Creative Europe and something that we are all spending, making a priority is the sustainability. So the 3 courses came out of extensive market research and ensuring that our courses are very practical.
Practical. That's definitely what media is looking for. Something because media has indicators regarding which is the impact on the professional. So time to talk about baby number 1. And baby number 1 is here. Exactly as you give me in Cannes, is about, as you mentioned, legal and business affairs. I have here all the information. I know that it's not very sustainable, but in order to do this thing, I print it. The information all our guests can check in the website regarding who, for which mentors, how long. So tell us a little bit, because unfortunately we are slightly late. This already finished last week. So tell us a little bit.
It's all very fresh in my mind, so it's a very good time to ask me all these questions. So we were meant to have 15 participants, but we had 16 because there was a couple of people that we couldn't all agree on who was going to be on the course, so we went to 16. So the course is designed for 15 participants. What we were very lucky is because one of our kind of key pillars is collaboration and making sure that people working in various countries across Europe share knowledge and experience. We were lucky enough if we had somebody from Slovakia, Slovenia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Hungary, Bulgaria, Germany, Ireland, Austria, Germany. I think we had 10 different nationalities on the program. So that's a great way of sharing experiences and learnings. The other thing was that we're very keen that we have mixed groups. So that, so for example, on this training program, on the Legal and Business Affairs course, we had a head of finance, somebody that works in finance in a production company. We had a talent agent. We had a head of film from a regional film fund. We had we had a director. The majority of them were producers, but we had, and then we had somebody that in fact used to be a stunt coordinator. And he's moving into production, but his background is much more on physical production side. So we actively encourage participants from any sector within the film industry. It's not exclusively for producers. It's for you as individuals to decide whether this would be a useful learning for you. So in terms of the Legal and Business Affairs course, unfortunately, in the week, we can't train you all to be entertainment media lawyers. What we did was we structured the course to go through the life cycle. Just to let you know, I wave my hands around a lot, so I apologize, but I get kind of a bit carried away. Is that we go through the journey of a project. So we cover film and TV. So we start with making sure that you protect your, what's chain of title, your underlying rights, what's the IP that you own and how do you protect that? We then go into clearances and things that you need to do at the earliest stages of development. We then have a session on European deals. So what deals with writers, directors, actors, heads of department might look like in a European context. We have a session, we then have that similar session, but we focus it much more on if you want to work with the UK or the US. So we have the kind of more Anglo-Saxon view of dealing with US talent agents and doing talent deals, whether that's with a director or an actor. So we cover off working with DGA, SAG, WGA, so the American unions and guilds, and what impact that has on your budget. We then have a session on closing finance and what that might look like and how those things affect the legal implications of all of that. We then have we had a case study by a producer who made a film called The Twin, and this producer, who in fact is a lawyer but also a producer, in some territories you can do both, in some countries you can't, and he gave us a breakdown of all the things that went horribly wrong on his film, and then how he dealt with them legally and how he kind of averted disaster on that production. So he's very open and honest from the learnings that he learned from that, and gave kind of top tips for the participants of what might happen. I mean, they had a number of where the lead actress decided to pull out the day before principal photography, and in fact they were an essential element in the course. So how do you deal with that? So that's a useful learning case study session. We then did a half day on going through tax credits, tax rebates, funding, what those deals might look like, and how working with different parties, what you need in order to be able to pull that finance together. We also had a session on sustainable funding, because I'm sure you're all aware, if you're producers, is that the funds are now asking for you to have a green policy. So we went through, and I'll go a bit more into this when we talk about the sustainability management course. We then had a session about case studies from Hungary, so how the Hungarian tax credit works, how to bring in international partners. We had a very long discussion about employment law across different territories and how that might affect the working day and how people work. And then the last day we had a session on all the new EU legislation that's coming about. So we talked about piracy and what we all have to do to stop our films being exploited online to protect the financiers, and discussed all the forthcoming legislation that might affect a production, whether it be film or TV, in the future. So we started 10, 11 o'clock on a Monday, and we finished just after lunch on a Friday. So it allows participants to fly in on Monday morning and then leave and be home by the end of Friday. So it's a Monday to Friday course.
So just 2 words to define this training course. It's practical and very intense, extremely intense and very practical. Other training courses that we have around, media or not media supported, always focus about just how to co-produce, tax rebate, how to build architecture, financing architecture regarding the project. But I see that you go beyond. It's quite interesting, and I don't want to steal time on this one because we have two more training courses. It's really oriented for all type of sectors. Like I was really surprised, like pay or play for actors, or regarding music rights, that usually is a very difficult thing to clear, to clearance the rights before starting the pre-production regarding music. So it's really complete. So now my question, it's recently finished in Vienna. This is your adopting territory, Julia, last week. When is going to happen next one, more or less, in order to keep tracking for for the media desks and for promotional purpose to keep the save the date in your calendar for 2023?
We will probably do it at the same time next year. We will probably do it in June next year, because we found that actually that speaking to all the participants from the last edition, that we get a more mixed group if we do it in June, because it's not at the busy festival, it's not during the busy festival and market season. But just to let you know, this is a quick promotion, is if you sign up to our Screen Institute newsletter, which you will find on our link on our website, it will, as soon as we announce dates, it is communicated through a newsletter. But the other thing is we are delivering webinars like that, probably not as professionally and marvelously organized as this, but we are doing webinars throughout the year that cover off certain topics. So if there are topics that you're interested in, is keep an eye on our newsletter, and there might be a free webinar available. And then I'll talk later about our activity that we're doing at other film festivals. So if you attend film festivals, we're also running courses during other film festivals.
So let's move to baby number 2, the Audience Design Lab. Exactly the same postcard you give us to Victoria, and myself, and more information, not sustainable, printed, but you have everything in the website. So go ahead with this Audience Design Lab, Julia.
Yes, I will be much happier talking about this at the end of next week when we've actually delivered it. This was something that was very close to my heart, because I've worked in marketing and distribution for the majority of my life in the film and TV industry. And I spoke to a number of audience designers that had all been trained through the Torino Film Lab. They run an audience designer program, and we wanted to be able to deliver to early stage producers. So this program is specifically designed so it's open for people with feature films or documentaries. And we wanted it to be for people at an early stage in their career. So you can either be debut filmmakers, you could be first, second, or third time filmmakers, but it's not aimed at people that are established, because what we wanted to do was to assist emerging producers to understand the audience design methodology and how that works, so that they can then apply it to all the other projects on their slate, but they can also apply it on the development of their projects going forward. So we can take projects that are in development. You have to have a script, because you have to kind of know what, talking about babies, these babies, we have to know whether they're a boy or a girl or transgender. We need to know a bit more about the project. We have to be clear on what the genre is. So how that course is structured is it's a 3-day in-person program and 1-day online 3 months later. So next week on day 1, on Tuesday, we're having the morning is going to be an industry panel. And on that panel, we have an international sales agent, we have an independent distributor, we have an independent exhibitor, and somebody from Mubi, so a digital platform. And we will have a very open and honest conversation of how they see the current landscape, how they see independent movies working in that landscape, what the challenges are going forward, how filmmakers can perhaps do more or assist a distributor, a platform, an exhibitor to get their film to a wider audience. In the afternoon, we're doing a very interesting thing that we've come up with that we've never done before, and it'll be interesting to see that, is what we have asked all the filmmakers to do is to supply image, so a photograph or an image, their title, their logline and a synopsis, and we're going to create a fake film Facebook. I mean, it's not fake because the film hopefully will be real, but we're going to create a Facebook campaign and we're going to put an ad spend behind that Facebook campaign. And on the afternoon of the first day, we're going to inform the film teams about the age of the people that clicked on it and wanted more information, what gender were they, what age were they, what are the things that they're interested in, what are their hobbies, where do they get their information. So we're really informing them of what information the audience gets from that initial information. What we will then do is we will have 2 days where from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 at night is the teams. Now the teams can be made up of up to 3 people. So that can be writer, producer, director, or in fact, in this edition, I think they're all writer directors. I think we've only all of our teams this year are actually only teams of 2, but we'll take teams of 3 because for this selection process, they were all we selected writer directors and the producer. And then for 2 days, each of the teams has their own special exclusive audience designer. And for 2 days, they will go through a whole process, which is the process that Torino Film Lab teaches the audience designers, for the filmmakers to really understand, to get really under the skin of their films. So understanding what are the key themes, who are the mailing lists that you should be gathering, what's the persona of the person that you're marketing your film to. So really narrowing down your audience, because when you're an independent distributor, you don't have millions of euros to spend on an ad campaign like Paramount probably spent on Top Gun 2. We're probably talking 30, 40,000 euros. So how do you put together an effective audience design campaign for a kind of much more reasonable amount of money? We don't expect you to do that, but to understand what interested group of people might be interested in your film. We'll also have a session about who your audience is, not only in terms of the consumer that might buy the cinema ticket or might download it on VOD. Your audience is obviously also potential sales companies. So we talk all about international sales and the types of companies that work in international sales, and also distributors and how you might want to get a distributor on board. So it's the business to business side of audience as well as the business to consumer side. Following that, so all the filmmaking teams have really understood their film and worked out what their next steps are, is we're then going to do another Facebook campaign. So they have an opportunity to choose to improve the image that they're going to use, which will inform the unit photography that you will need to do during production. They can change their title if they realize that their title is communicating something that they didn't want to communicate, that was perhaps miscommunication. They can redo their synopsis, and we then run another Facebook campaign, get all the results and the data from that. And then on the online course, which we're doing in November, is we will give them the new data of who clicked on it, age, gender, interests, so that they will hopefully see the changes on that. And on the November the 19th, so our online days, we'll ask all teams to report back on how they're getting on with their project, how they're getting on with development, have they managed to secure international sales or distribution. And then we will have a keynote speaker who at the moment we haven't decided who it is. It's between 2 people, but we will get a big kind of keynote name that will give some insights into developing audiences or researching audiences. So that's the Audience Design Lab.
So good luck for the next week with this hectic program. If before I was qualifying with 2 words like practical and intensive, we have to add 2 more words. Now we have 4 words in this training course, because it's not only practical and intense, it's innovative and really digital, social media oriented with data, which I think is quite important. Filmmakers sometimes they are so focused in their projects that it's quite difficult to think out of the box and think in terms of where is my audience, or how I can reach the audience I don't know yet I have. Which I think that your wide set of opportunities that you are proposing are quite interesting, specifically when you are adding as well a new player in the market, like the platforms, which are operating with a wide spectrum of which is the audience, which is huge.
Yeah, we thought Mubi was really interesting because obviously they buy films out of festivals, so they do a lot of international projects that are available on their platform, but they're also building up their international distribution department where they will be giving theatrical releases to those films that they're acquiring. So we thought that was an interesting distribution strategy for people to hear about.
So Julia, now the real McCoy, the applications for future applicants still is open, and it's the real McCoy. Why? Because everyone is in the same boat, the Green Deal, your sustainability management. This is obviously is online, cannot be in a different way, and this is the purpose. People are learning by here and there, but they don't really prepare to confront the challenge of what means Green Deal. And for the European Commission, all programs in the Commission, they have to follow what Ursula von der Leyen fixed as in the horizon for 2050. We have to play with indicators. Our desk as well, they are asked to implement indicators of how we are behave towards the goals of 2050. So we have to explain that. But regarding shooting green shooting, a lot of things are moving quite faster. Training initiatives is the best way. Everyone talks about carbon print. Everyone talks about measures, do's and don'ts. But this is absolutely the real McCoy. So what we need from you now, it's to be as sexy as you can to get applications from Spain, because I'm sure we can implement that in the projects, not only because they're going to do a training course, because all single calls in media are giving out like 5 points or even more regarding what the project or the applicant company does do regarding sustainability. So please go ahead. The third baby, sustainability management.
Yes, thank you very much. So this course, kind of going back to my earlier conversation about how we develop courses, is it was really important for the Screen Institute to design and offer training that wasn't available already, because obviously it's not in creative media's interest to have lots of courses that are similar being funded by them. So what we felt was that there was a large amount of sustainability green training to do with production. So there's, when you're shooting a movie, is what do you do with your costumes when you finish them? What do you do with your sets? Do you break them down? Do you then store them in a big warehouse so that they're available to be used? Catering, plastics, so the production side, we felt that there was a huge amount of training already being offered. And our feeling is that we're asking producers to put a lot of time, thoughts and effort into making their productions green. And we questioned why there isn't more being done to make every other part of the film or TV chain green as well and sustainable. So what are post-production companies doing about it? What are distribution companies doing about it? Festivals are doing something about it, but I'm sure there are smaller festivals that could do without. What are distribution companies doing? What are international sales companies doing? So what we decided to do and this was a colleague that I've worked with for a number of years, was very keen. So I can't take credit for this course because it's an amazing course, and I'm embracing her good work. Is we wanted to design a course that's available to anybody. It's completely open access. If you're interested in this as a subject matter, and you want to, maybe you want to become a sustainability coordinator, maybe you want to grow on the existing sustainability training that you've already done, this is kind of going back to another one of our kind of pillars of the institute, is we want it to be inclusive. So we don't want it to not, we want to make all of our programs available. So this program is 6 days online. We're going to do 3 days 1 week, then you'll have a couple of days off, weekend, couple of days off, and then 3 days the next week. And then you will also, each individual will have 2 mentoring sessions. So what we're asking as part of the application process is that you have a think about a challenge or a project or something you want to bring back to your production, or something that you want to take back to your company. So we ask everybody to apply with as I said, a challenge or an idea for a project. And after the course, you will have 2 mentoring sessions with specialists that will help you plan and develop how you can address the challenge or the project that you've brought to the program. So over the 6 days of the online program, we will be doing I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to put a pin in that. I'm going to come back to that. Is obviously there is no European standard of sustainability and greening. So one thing is we as a company and our funders are all going to kind of work very hard to get a European standard, because if you're doing a co-production, the standards in Croatia will be very different to what they are in France or Scandinavia or wherever you're shooting. So what we are going to we want a really mixed cohort, so that you can all share amongst yourself the different requirements and needs in your territory. So a lot of it is going to be an exchange of information and share of best practices. We're going to ask everybody to have done a carbon literacy test before they come on the course. If you haven't done one, we will send you links and make you aware of all the carbon literacy training that there is available, which we will find free training available. What this course is focused on is very much on social sustainability. So we're going to give you an introduction to social sustainability. So this is about work hours. What makes a sustainable work environment? About desks, lighting. I'm going to have to put my glasses on now. I'm getting a bit carried away, and I'm going to go off. So we're going to talk environmental policies. We're going to have, what's your company's travel policy? Do you have a travel policy? Is it that if they travel X number of hours or miles or kilometers, is to do a travel policy? We're going to do a social sustainability management session, which is about inclusivity of recruitment, participation, mental health, awareness on mental health. We're going to do a whole session on, as I said, sustainable office space and workstations, new approaches to work organisation, and participation within a company, of how you can build a really positive environment in your company. And then we'll cover off the kind of more usual things about, so for somebody like us that's running a training program, and if we were doing it in person, which we are doing, is how do we, you know, make sure we find a green certified hotel, make sure we only serve vegetarian food and we don't eat meat. So a lot of the things that are taught during green production courses, we will also cover, but much more in a kind of company or work environment. And we'll also talk about data storage, streaming, digital solutions. So how, when you're running an office or a company, about how your day-to-day workflow might impact how much, what the impact of your carbon footprint. So that's in a nutshell. When we will have a really detailed brochure online, which will go through absolutely everything, but if I go through it in micro each session,
you didn't miss any ingredient.
Oh, okay.
And I think that it's the perfect recipe to save our shootings, being green. Before keep playing with the game, the first two words I qualified were practical and intense for the first training course, and we add for the second one the innovative and digital social media oriented. But this time, in this one, I would like to summarize that it's really very inclusive, because you don't want to leave anyone out. As you mentioned, it's not just for producers, it's in order to be practical for everyone involved in the audiovisual sector, no matter what, which brand are you representing, and being practical by focusing on that carbon literacy test that you have to send to the applicants. I have a question for you that happened in Cannes. That is where we met. Nostradamus report that it's been done by the Göteborg Film Festival. Usually it's giving you a trends, like a crystal ball, what's going to happen in the near future in the audiovisual world. And they mention in this Nostradamus report, that was a hybrid of online with a roundtable, 2 points. One, it's something that we have to foresee. It's how the platforms will cannibalize the market by producing too much, which it's dealing with sustainability, in order to keep all the people paying which is called the monthly fees for so many platforms. So in a way, it's going to be a restructure of the market. And the second thing was sustainability, but really, as you're tackling, going into the mental health, it's taking care about, is going to be a huge issue, how to take care of sustainability from the point of view of who's working in the business. Too many hours, not well paid, taking advantage, for example, of places where the salaries are low or the conditions are not as in a very, very human resources development countries. So things like that. Are you agree with those points
yes,
of Nostradamus?
We're covering exactly. And I think the mental health, you know, the hours that people are working, I think we'll lose people out of the industry because of the hours and the pay. So that's not building a sustainable industry either. So we're trying, you know, our aim is to cover sustainability in all of its senses on this course, hence why it's 6 days. So
I have a question that probably you mentioned and I miss it. In the first training course, you had already finished 50, but you were a little bit more generous. We get 60 people. But I miss how many people you're expecting, or already you have closed for the next week in the Audience Design Lab.
The Audience Design Lab is, we've got 5 teams of 2. So we've got 10, so yeah, 5 teams of 2. This course has never been run in any shape or form. It's truly innovative in every single sense. So we're treating this year as a pilot, and in future editions we'll be looking at having more teams so that we could make it available for 8 or 9 teams.
And regarding the sustainability online,
sustainability, we're doing 20 participants, because that's as many as people as you can see on a Zoom screen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm fidgeting, so I'm sure Arno's getting a bit twitchy with me.
Don't worry,
Jiggling up and down.
you look fabulous.
We want the speakers to all be able to engage with all of the participants, and we feel that they need to see them all on one screen. So we didn't want to go over 20.
Good reason. Good reason. Online has
because
good
it's
things.
not.
Yeah.
I'm a real in-person kind of person. This is not
Absolutely,
my favorite
absolutely.
environment.
This type of course should be done online, but cannot be a radio. It's not a radio program. It's not a podcast. So should be more interactive, and you have to see face to face. So I have no questions in YouTube, but I have one. I have baby 1, baby 2, super baby 3, need it more than ever. And now it's like, the bill, please. How it's more or less the fee to participate?
That's a really good question, because that's why I was late onto this course. We're getting because the course is online. We don't think we have to charge VAT, but we're waiting to get confirmation from our tax advisors. At the moment, it's promoted at €1,000, but there might be a little bit of tweaking. That might go down according to the tax thing. So please keep an eye on our website, because that will be updated. If you're from a low capacity country, which unfortunately Spain is not classified as that, we do have support for scholarships for people from low capacity countries. Alex, shall I explain our scholarship policy now?
Yeah, actually, if there is no questions in YouTube, they're not there. My next question is scholarships. Which editorial line do you have? What's here?
We have a very, very generous and flexible editorial line on scholarships. It's going back to our inclusivity mantra at the Institute. So we have quite a generous pot to support people to come on our training programs. So we have what I would call a hardship allowance. So if you really, really want to do the training program, and you can't, we can't give you 100% scholarship, but if you just said, oh, I can afford €700, I can't afford 1,000, and you explain to, there's in each application form, you can write, and you can either get in touch with us, or you can write it in your application form and go, I really, really want to do this course, but the most I can pay is 700. Is it possible to get a scholarship of €300? We have a bursary for working parents. So if you're responsible for looking after children and you need extra childcare, we have a bursary for childcare allowance. We have a carer's allowance. So in fact, if you've got an elderly relative or an aunt or a dog that needs to be looked, that's being slightly sarcastic, but if you have to care for somebody else, and again, you have to pay for somebody to look after that person when you're attending the course, we have a bursary for that. We have a diversity scholarship pot. So if so one of the things that we thought about was, if you're a displaced person, so if you've left it, as in Ukraine is a really good example, is if you've left the Ukraine and you don't have a settled status but you're working in Spain, you can apply to us for a bursary, scholarship money for that. So we have a very broad, we just want to hear from people. If you want to do the course and it's a little bit too much money, we'd rather you got in contact with us and we can tell you what level of support we can give you, but we have got very generous scholarships available. So I would like to think that we've thought of everything, but if you've got a unique circumstance, please.
So 2 more words to add to the fabulous recipe. It's generous and flexible. which it's
yes, I like those two words, Alex.
yeah,
Thank
because
you.
at the end we have to do a kind of a log line using the 10 words and trying to promote and summarize your initiative. But now it's time, what you have just said, to remember the five pillars that are in your International Screen Institute. It's inclusion, sustainability, quality, collaboration, and the fifth one is I am not remembering, but if you can,
Do you know what? I don't know that I can.
because
I think you
everything
should only
is
ever have
related. What I'm saying is that it's not just 3 training courses at random. It's just a philosophy in how put in place audiovisual, being collaborative, inclusive, sustainable, with good quality. And I don't remember the fifth one, but it's like the new next generation of training initiatives in media, basically. Probably that's why they choose you.
I think, I mean, we felt it was really, I'm going to have to look up what the fifth, I'm going to have to quickly go to our website and check out what the fifth thing is.
Don't even.
Don't leave you. Don't leave you.
No, yeah, please.
No, it was very important for us from the day that we found. Oh, we're the other thing to say is we're a non-profit organisation, so we have no. Much to my boss's probably angst is we will not make any profit. If there's any profitability, it will go back into a scholarship pot or running another training program. So it's very important to us that we're not running it. We're not trying to make money out of this. We're trying to deliver the generous, intensive, practical, all those other words that you used, Alex, is that's our mantra, is to deliver that at an affordable rate to people across Europe.
So probably now it's time just to a little bit of here and there about who are your partners, because you are based in Austria. And there is a lot of partners. If you go, our audience goes to the website, there is a lot of course, logos. But I would like to point out that Austrian Film Institute, it's along with media, are there as a front runners. As well, we have the Zurich Film Festival, but it's your time to explain which is the alliance that you're looking for in Central Europe to put in place the training courses.
So, yes. The other thing that the Screen Institute, or me, more particularly me, is being able to offer festivals or organisations training within the industry. So, for example, Zurich wanted to do a training program during their Film Finance Summit and wanted to run a program for junior people, emerging people working in international sales and distribution. So they approached us or me, and I put together a suggested idea of what the program could look like, what speakers we could get, how we would market it. So it's open at the moment. It's that launched during Cannes. That launched on the 17th of May and closes, I think, on the 11th of August, I think. It closes in August anyway. And that's open to anybody that's working in international sales or distribution. So we've done a partnership with them. The same thing happened with Tallinn Discovery Campus at Tallinn Black Nights. Is they run a year-long filmmaker program which culminates in sessions during the festival. So during the physical festival on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th, we will be delivering training sessions. So we're helping people we'll do a session on how to design a festival strategy. What happens if your festival strategy A doesn't work out? What's your festival B strategy? We're going to go through sales agency and distribution agreements and give people top tips on what to look out for and what not to sign and what you should be asking for in your contracts. And then we're doing a session on how to pick a sales agent and understanding that all sales agents are not born equal and they do different things. And that was at a request that Tallinn wanted to kind of pull their course together and close it at, but actually those sessions are available to anybody to attend. So if you're going to Tallinn Black Nights, anybody that's attending the festival can come to that, but it's been designed around this filmmaker program.
It makes me think that maybe you can put all this thing in a potential fourth training course for the future?
Well, yes. So
because it's very appealing. It's very appealing.
So yeah, so the course that's closest to my heart, because it was the first one I ever did, was the marketing and distribution course in Ronda at the Media Business School. And unfortunately, since the Media Business School has ceased to operate, is that I've realized that, and certainly from the research that I've done so far, is there is nothing that has replaced that. So we're now looking at doing a fourth training initiative next year, which will be focused on marketing distribution, and in distribution I mean kind of territory distribution as well as international distribution. So we will be that unfortunately we didn't put into our Creative Europe application that we've just submitted, but we will be looking to deliver that, and we'll get that funded in an alternative way. But looking at doing, as I said, so we'll cover about, so that you know, understand what assets do you need to capture during production that a distributor needs for marketing, or if you self-distribute it yourself, is what do you need? How do you choose a sales agent? What are the contracts that you shouldn't? So it's kind of a mixture of audience design, marketing, legal and business affairs. So it's kind of everything rolled into one. But that I would think is probably going to. So we'll look at doing that next year as an additional over and above the Creative Europe funded programs.
Will be great to have it in the field of training initiative, this one. We are almost finishing. There is no questions, but now, yes, I have two questions for you, since there is no in YouTube. I am an applicant. Usually, I know the applicants in Spain. Usually they are sometimes shy because they don't know very well which is his position regarding I need training, I don't need, or maybe I know everything, or maybe it's too far, maybe it's I don't have the money. So different things that always is like not really frequently participant in training initiatives supported by media. We have quite enough number, but not we're not in perfect numbers, let's say, of participation of Spanish professionals. And they decide to apply. Do you have a special selection process regarding which is the background that you have when you are, let's say, if you're going for a scholarship, for sure you're doing a letter of intent of why you want to participate. But if you are an applicant, maybe you have a kind of a request like, tell me who you are, like the CV, what have you done, in order to focus the perfect target and to create a very homogenic group. That is probably one of the keys of success of any training group. So which is the request regarding, are you very demanding? You can go with levels, you don't want really premium people, maybe you are more based into new talent, which is the size, or how you design the group?
We've got a more complicated and better AI system than Netflix. That's my argument. So what we do is we look at gender. So we want the group to be 50-50. It tends to be that all the courses that I run, doesn't matter where it is in the world, there's usually more women than apply than men, because I think women are much quicker to put their hand up and say, I want to learn, I need to learn. But that might be a gender stereotyping. So I apologize to all you men in the audience that don't feel like that. So we want, it's very important to us that we have a real mixture of countries represented. We look at how, I mean, to a certain extent, we look at how much effort has been put into the application form. If it looks like they did it 5 minutes before the closing date, you're probably less likely to be selected than somebody that has clearly put some thought an effort into it. What I love doing is if people get it before they even apply, is to get in touch with us, and I'm very, very happy, and I would like to talk to everybody before they apply, so I can get to know somebody's personality, because on a piece of paper I can't tell whether they're really shy and that they won't be comfortable asking questions, or whether they're going to be loud like me and ask loads of questions. So what we actively do, which is what we did for the first two courses, is encourage people to get in touch with us, and I can talk to them, so I can tell them in real detail what the course is, what is covered in the course, how it's structured, what you will get out of from attending it. So the people that apply are people that really understand what they're committing to, and understand what the outcomes from attending the course would be. We will be doing events in Berlin and Cannes every year going forward. Well, if we get our Creative Europe money, is because we want to meet people in person that would like to do our training programs, so that there's that personal relationship before they turn up on the day one of the course, and that will also help inform us. And the casting vote goes to the course director. Sadly, I don't have casting vote. The person that's running the program. So I have 3 amazing course directors. I work with them to put all the content and the speakers together, but in terms of the selection process, I let them choose.
With your answer already answer my following question. Is done is about gender balance, you mentioned, because it's one of the goals of the Creative Europe program as well, in the calls of media. So time to say goodbye, Julia Short. You've been great explaining to the Spanish professionals the potential that they have in the 3 training course plus the 4th one. I would like to summarize with those magical words why you have to apply for 1, 2, or 3 of your initiatives, because you're flexible, because you're generous, because you offer quality, because you're inclusive, you're intense, really, really practical, digital, social media oriented, and above all, green. So congratulations. We wish you the best for the next week, for the 2nd training course. We would like from here to thank Krista for all this coordination in order to having us today, you and me, here online. And thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you. And please, if anybody's interested in our training courses, please do get in touch. So thank you very much. Thank you, Alex, and thank you for everybody for putting this on. It's been a really great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
See you around.
Ciao. Bye. Bye.
Bueno, gracias. Eskerrik asko. Gracias por vuestra atención. Espero que os haya sido útil este promo de esta reciente y nueva iniciativa de media con tres bebés, hemos visto, y un cuarto en perspectiva. Como una caja de galletas, esperemos que haya alguna que os interese para elevar el ratio de participantes españoles en iniciativa de formación. Y simplemente recordaros próximas iniciativas. Tenemos el día 28 en el canal YouTube de Europa Creativa, en este caso Cultura. Ofrecemos una sesión sobre la línea de Innovation Labs de la brand cross-sectorial. Vamos a resumir un poco para los no entendidos en Europa Creativa. Tenemos media, audiovisual, tenemos cultura, tenemos el cross-sectorial, que es donde se puede llegar a través de cultura o de media. Y Innovation Labs es esa iniciativa donde se propone el audiovisual como puente hacia un cross-sectorial de otras disciplinas culturales. Os esperamos el día 28 a las 10 en esa sesión prácticas para explicar la convocatoria con 2 casos de éxito. Es una actividad realizada por las 5 oficinas de Europa Creativa en España, la de Cultura y las 4 de Media. Y ahora agradecimientos. Agradezco a Victoria y a Ainhoa por ser cómplices, Victoria, Media Andalucía, Ainhoa, Media País Vasco, por ser cómplices de esta aventura con Julia Short. y International Screen Institute, a María Sol y a Natalia Jiménez y al equipo de Click and Sound por poner esto en pie. I a tots vosaltres, hi ha un altre switch, us emplacem a que ens veiem el proper 8 de juliol, que és divendres, per explicar la convocatòria que acaba el 8 de setembre, ho deixem, ja porta obert un temps, 2 mesos, una sessió pràctica explicativa de la convocatòria de co-development. Ja sabeu, l'antic Single Project, aquesta vegada amb 2 productors. Tindrem de convidada l'Anna Bofarull, de Caboga, que ens explicarà els dos i els dons, perquè l'Anna Bofarull, us faig l'espoiler, ha sortit seleccionada en aquesta convocatòria. Ella us ho explicarà perquè anirem fil per randa per la convocatòria. Doncs moltes gràcies, gràcies a tots i a totes, eskerrik asko. Ens veiem aviat. Adéu-siau.